angry guy here, and women are having meltdowns when told why men don't want to date them and become passport bros instead. Women are having meltdowns when told why men don't want to date them and become passport bros instead. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
So what you're starting to see now with the modern women here in America, a lot of them are starting to have meltdowns about men leaving, America to seek love in other countries. Case in point, this particular video, this woman is going to have a true meltdown, but let's review it. Now, before we get started, Forever Single 44. Okay, let's go.
Let me ask you a question, Edgar. Why are the passport bros not going to Sweden, Switzerland, Germany? Why are they going to Colombia, the Philippines, Malaysia, African countries? Why are they going there and not to Europe?
Because that's the choice that they choose.
No,
not every man.
Wrong,
that is.
wrong
That
answer.
it can't be the wrong answer because you can't tell everybody where
they're modeled like the West. They're modeled like us, and they're not going to stand for their bullshit. So they go to these very, very poor countries where your $50,000 means the world in a third world country, and they bring them back here, and the women are subservient, and they do everything the man wants. But let me kid you not, when the women get a little education and an employment and learn the language, they might not frickin' stay. They use the men, the American men, the schmucks, as an outlet to get here.
So
let's stop right there because we got to keep going with this. All right. She answered her own question. Literally, why they won't go to basically European countries. Because it's the Western world. It's the same thing. Like they said, that's jumping out the oven into the frying pan. You leave America and you're going to go to Canada and tell them you're going to find a wife. And you get divorced in Canada, they're going to take half. Okay, you go from Canada, you go to the UK, same thing. Norway, the Netherlands, all these different countries, they got the same freaking laws, child support. They got the same laws, the same entitled women, the same issues and problems. Why would men go to the Western world? Listen, even white men don't even want to be with them. Like, trust me, y'all really thinking they talking about brothers. No, there's a lot of white men that can't stand their behinds. I'm telling you they can't. Because they tell me in my DMs, say, hey, us white guys, we sick of them. But the only thing I say to white guys is, you created that problem. That's the only comeback I say to them. Because you in control of these countries and you allowed all these laws, you pushed them. Now, I'm not saying the individual didn't do, you know what I'm saying, but the people hit their community. So it makes me kind of like, well, how you feel, it's hard for me to feel bad for you. That's what I mean. Because you can go change it tomorrow. Just like when they wanted to get rid of that abortion on demand, basically, they did that, right? They made it very difficult now. So y'all in control. Y'all can rein in all these issues and problems, but that's do what they want to do. But these men aren't going to y'all. They're not. And I'm gonna tell you what about women like that one. They get hella jealous of women outside of them, too. Because she made sure to talk about, she said African countries. She mentioned basically Southeast Asia, Latin America. She mentioned all these other groups of women. Because they men going over there. That's why. And they don't want to put up with her behind. She's talking about bringing them over here. Why would they do that? What, and expose them to you? No. And like I said in the previous video, $50,000 is about the sweet spot. If you can make $50,000 at minimum, I'm just talking about to be real good. At minimum, remotely, you making 50,000 US at minimum. That's what I would tell any man. Don't even try it if you're not making 50,000 minimum remotely. And it's something, you know that money gonna come in. You don't have to worry about nothing because you can get in a lot of these countries right now with a digital nomad visa. Even some African countries I was looking at, you can get in, you can go stay 6 months on a digital nomad visa. And you can keep renewing it to the point where you can get a residency. And then eventually you want to do it and get citizenship. Yeah, they opening up the lane for digital nomads.
Let me be very clear. I mean, he said $50,000, but honestly, if you if you have, let's say, $20,000, if you have $20,000 saved up, all right, and you go to one of these countries with $20,000, and you can make $30,000 remotely, you're good. If you go to the Philippines, all right, or you go to Mexico, okay, or you go to somewhere in South America, a lot of countries in South America, or Thailand, and you can make $30,000 remotely, you're gonna live like a king on that $30,000. Okay, as long as you have some savings, you saved up some money before you go, so you have that in the bank as your foundation. You will not have to worry about anything. You will save a lot of that money because you're going to be spending like $200 a month on rent. $200 a month on rent, and between rent and all your expenses, you won't spend even $1,000. Between rent and all of your expenses, everything, food, everything, you only spend even $1,000 a month in these countries. That's with the woman with taking her out and everything. You won't spend even $1,000, and you're gonna live good. So you're gonna be saving a ton of money and putting a ton of money into the bank. All right, and you're gonna be happy, and you're gonna start to heal, because a lot of men who've lived in the West, they've lived hard lives. Like, women have had hot girl summer. I mean, women have had nothing but fun. They've been having tons and tons of fun while men have been struggling. All right, and these women, they've sold their oats. They've had their fun, and now winter is coming, and they want a man. It's like the grasshopper. It's like the grasshopper, and the was it the grasshopper and the ants? The ants worked all winter. The ants worked all summer, and the grasshopper was just chilling, being lazy. And then winter came, and the ants now had, like, food saved up because men are the ants, and the grasshopper, the women, then basically came to the ants and said, listen, I don't have anything, and I need your help. And basically the grasshopper took a step further and said, listen, either you help me or I'm going to eat you. And that was really it. But this is just how sick it is. Like, can you imagine women who they had their fun, and when things were going well, when they were at their prime, they threw their value away, you know, and they didn't want you when they were at their prime, but now they're at their worst and you're at your best, and that's when they want you. And they'll say that you're being immature, you don't want to grow up, and you looking at younger women, you must be absolutely delusional. I should be delusional. I'm delusional. I worked my entire life building myself up so that I could attract a woman who would allow me to have children while you were out there having fun. And now you're calling me delusional? You've been through many relationships. You've had your heart broken a ton of times. You have very high standards that I really don't want to meet. And you're calling me delusional? And you can't give me children anymore. And you're saying that I'm the one who's delusional. You see, you don't understand men. You don't understand the lives that men live. You don't understand what men have to go through just so that they can have children, just so that they can leave someone on this earth, just so they can have a family. It's not like back in the old days where a guy would graduate from high school, go work for a factory for the rest of his life, marry his high school sweetheart, and they would have 4 kids. He would get his first house. That first year of marriage, he'd get his first house, and that house would cost 1 year's salary. That first house would cost 1 year's salary. How crazy is this? His salary, what he would earn in 1 year, would be equal to what the cost of the house would be. So anyone that doesn't realize how bad things are, now we have these 30-year mortgages. My parents, When my parents bought their house years ago, that house my father spent something like $125,000, $130,000. That was 20 years ago. That was actually a little over 20 years ago. Been over 20 years ago. All right. That house is now worth $500,000. $500,000. Like, this is absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. My father was making $60,000 in the 90s. In the 90s. My parents collectively were really pulling it roughly around $90,000 to $100,000 a year in the 90s. You have to understand, that's a lot of money. $100,000, $90,000 to $100,000 in the 90s was a lot of money. Okay, we're talking about almost 30 years ago. Roughly 30 years ago, my parents were pulling in roughly $90,000 to $100,000, and they had access to other revenue streams. They had that kind of money back then, and that's unimaginable for most young people today. Unimaginable. We're basically living on nothing. McDonald's, there's no such thing as cheap anymore. McDonald's is not cheap. The age of cheap is over. The age of cheap food, cheap labor, cheap rent, it's over. Underpaid employees, it's over. Because people want what they're worth now, or they want more than it. You have delivery drivers that want to make $70,000 a year. You deliver for Pizza Hut. You think you're entitled to $70,000 a year? Like, really? Starting next year, supposedly, McDonald's employees in California will be making $22 a year, and they'll receive an inflationary raise every year. So after they work at that job for just a few years, they'll be making $25 an hour. I think it's within 3 years, they'll be making like $25 an hour. That's $50,000 a year working at McDonald's. This is head scratching. And this is going to be in effect not just for McDonald's, but for places like Starbucks, where they're collecting tips. So if you work full time, if you work 5 days a week at Starbucks, a full shift, and you're pulling in $50,000 a year just from working, making coffee, and you're also getting tips, and those tips can add anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 to your salary. You think that you really deserve to be making $60,000 to $70,000 a year making coffee? Come on. It's no wonder men are walking away from the society. Men, because women basically are just like spend, because at the center of their lives, originally, at the center of a woman's life was her family, her children. But that all changed. That all changed in the 1960s with public assistance and men being thrown out of the household. Then the center of a woman's life became consumerism. And that's why they can never, ever be satisfied, because they always want more. They're using material to fill a void inside of them, and they don't know, they're not family oriented. They were not raised with a focus on the family. They were raised with a focus on themselves, them being special, and them deserving everything. And that's why consumerism is the only thing that can satisfy them and fill a void. But it's only temporary, and they'll always need more and more and more. And no amount will ever be enough to truly make them happy and truly make them satisfied. Are you looking for a Christian Filipina partner who shares your faith and values? If so, you should check out Christian Filipina, the most trusted dating site for men and women who want to find love and marriage in the Philippines. Christian Filipina has helped thousands of couples meet and start their journey together. You can join for free and browse through thousands of profiles of beautiful and sincere Filipinas who are ready to connect with you. Click the link below in my description and sign up today using my special affiliate code. You won't regret it. Guys, women are having meltdowns when told why men don't want to date them and become passive roles instead. What do you guys think about this? You know what I think, but I want to hear what you guys think. All right? So let me know what you think in the comments. We'll talk about it, and the full video will be linked in the description of the video. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.